Hello. Hello. Tag your friends. You're live, guys. Welcome. Happy 2022. I'm trying to play some music. Last time I'm almost got into trouble with YouTube for playing any songs that came on. So I'm trying to play things that I'm allowed to play. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Tell your friends. Tell them you're on. You're live now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Karibuni. Happy 2022. It's our first live of the year. Been a while. Karibuni. Karibuni. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tell your friends as we play some music that I'm allowed to play. What's the matter, Laxi? Karibuni. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Jambo. Karibu. I might have to use this. Hi, Justice, so that I see who is on. Hi, Karibu Rafike. Happy 2022. With my do not disturb on. Karibu, 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 karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. Karibuni, 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 karibuni. Leo ni kumoto. Leo ni kumoto. We've got two teams. Hakuna in between. Team cut and team uncut. Karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. Yeah, Leo will be mindful of our language. Facebook isije kakwambia, he, una warning. I mean, I've chosen to use the word burukenge. So, kuna team burukenge cut, burukenge uncut. Sawa. Share your own experiences. Tell us. As we wait for our guest will be on with us in a few. We'll give him time. Karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. Haya, let me try and tag. Whoever comes first, unapata tag. Whoever comes up first, unapata tag. By the way, it's in that order. Ujue kama uko top uko hivyo, you're probably one of the people I tag the most. I've been tagging the most recently. So karibuni. Okay. That's quite a few people. Happy with that. Just as you're already here, say hello to me and tell me where you're joining from. Hi. Hello. Karibu. So let me check. Hi, Jessie. Hello. Welcome, guys. So today we're talking about circumcision. And I'm not being bad or anything. We just had a chance to interview somebody who will give us a religious point of view, more from his understanding and perspective. I've not gone deep with him to ask him his view to get to know what he's going to talk about. I just wanted to be surprised as you will be. So, and I would like you to tell me your own view, your own experience. What do you think and what do you do? What do you practice? And if you can change it, what would you do or what would you practice? So do share your own experiences. It should be interesting. Kuna team cut and uncut. Kuna team who claim that and cat is not clean, and cat is clean. So has it got anything to do with hygiene? Why do we practice it? Should we keep on practicing? Should we continue practicing? Where did it come from? We want to know all those things. We want to know all those things because some of us, like single parents, we don't know what to do with our sons. All that trouble of looking after that somebody who needs care for something you don't even understand. So yeah, we want to know. We want to know. And then some of the messages have been hilarious. Some have been texting me and telling me, that's kuna jenye ni tamu kuliko nyingine. So which one is tamu for you? And cat. Okay, so leo kutaka moto. Let's hear you out. Tutakanyaga watu, kuna watu watakasirika, kuna watu watafurahi. We don't know what will happen, but we'll learn together and unlearn together. Yeah, let's use those brains to get to know other people's own experiences and views. This will be Tim and Cat all the way. Reason being, hebu tuambie, mimi naambiwa ati Ankata iko tamu. Jesse, gani ni tamu na gani ni safi? So you're not late, dear. Hi, dear. So we were just introducing. We are hoping our guest will join us soon. You're just introducing the topic. It's about circumcision. We want to know: is it ethical? Is it hygienic? Is there a need for it? Where did it come from? Why do we still practice it? Should we continue practicing it? We want to share our own experiences. Some of us are single parents with sons and we don't know what to do with them. It depends on your background. If you're from a Christian background that says to be done, should you do it? How will you look after this kid? How old should you start doing it from? Imagine a 11, 12, 13-year-old nowadays, they're too clever. If you have to look after that boy on your own, what do? You have other responsibilities. So we're talking about all that. And then there are people who are in relationships. You're in a relationship with somebody and you're thinking, oh my God, in my culture, we don't do this, we don't allow this. Mimi namboga ni chafu inanuka nini. Is it? Is it? And then there's HIV perspective too. There's lots of studies that claim that it does help. So far, the studies that seem to be consistent with that claim that inasaidia. So tuendelee kukata watu. We don't want to cut our girls because we've used lots of claims about it being I don't know what, unethical, it being I don't know what, maybe possibly dangerous, like all those risks. But why are we still doing it with our boys? Why are we still doing it? And is there a need? Share your own experiences. Okay, we're waiting for our guest. Again, I'm going to apologize. Our guest is a pastor. I like his thinking. I only invited him because I watched his video talking about tithe. And that's a subject nobody has tackled before, at least not to my knowledge. People still think that they have to tithe the 20% and stuff, and if they don't, there's a curse upon them. There's what. So he tackled that topic and brought a different perspective into it. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting way of looking into it. And I just like that he drew attention to people who always tithe without knowing why they tithe and the things that pastors also don't tell you about it. And I liked his thinking. And in his video, he mentions just but slightly about circumcision. And I like coincidences. That same week, I had a conversation about it. And I'm like, maybe God wants me to talk about this or learn more about it. And here we are. So we'll hear his view. Take it with a pinch of salt. See your view. It's you to decide. I'm not here to change your views, but I'm just here for us to share. So it will come from like a religious point of view, from his own understanding, from his own research and stuff. Then you tell us what you believe, what you want to continue believing. In from Siaya, but network is really an issue here. Oh, sorry about that. I always have a network problem. I'm so glad so far, so good. I hope it's not me anyway. Yeah, karibu. Asante sana. Karibu. Thank you, guys. So first, I really want to know from the girls is if you have experience. If you have experience, is there one that is nicer than the other? I don't want to answer the questions for you today. Is there one that is nicer than the others? Tell me, tell me, tell me. And then, man, tell us, because somebody already said, watu wakatu, watu wakatu. Why do you do it? Why do you think watu wakatu? You got to tell us. Yeah, so we share. I'm still waiting for my guests. Let me check whether they're stranded somewhere. They did tell me they'll be late. Yeah, they should be with us sometime soon. Cool. So, as we wait for my guest, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I don't know where to start. There some of us who come from different cultures, we all do come from different cultures, and some of our cultures didn't advocate for this. So it's something we never practiced. And if we did, we never really knew about it because I'm a girl, so I never really knew about it. Oh, my guest is here. My guest is here. I hope everything will be okay, sound and everything will be fine. Okay, so we come from that, and then I have a church background. I was born into a church environment. Now I don't do so much of church, but so much. I'm really spiritual. I lean on the spiritual side of life because I found spirituality to be non-judgmental, to be accommodating, to love everybody. It's full of love than most religions practice. And then I married into a different culture, totally different culture from my own. And in that culture, some of those things aligned with already what I knew, because this is in Ole born town. So it was so easy to fit in. And so I didn't find any need to have my son do it. Now the whole world knows that I didn't find the need to have him do it. I didn't find it. And the dad was like, no, you're not having it done. And when we went to the GP was like, why would you want to do it? We only do it for medical reasons. There's never a big deal about it. And I was like, it's our culture. I think so. I think in our culture, we practice it. So hapo ndo pali tumekwama. So let's welcome our pastor. Karibu, karibu, pastor. Drum roll.
Thank
Welcome,
you, thank you. Thank you
Karibu.
very much.
You're welcome. I'll let you introduce yourself, and I have a confession to make. It's been a long time since I called somebody a pastor because I've had trouble with that whole pastor thing. You know, like anybody wakes up nowadays and call themselves a pastor, and whatever people tell you, it's mostly for their own gain, and it's troubled me. And the whole living religion thing is because of what we see. I hope one day we'll be like Rwanda and we'll have, order. Yeah, so that whatever somebody's teaching them, teaching people, they teach from a point of intelligence.
Right.
So, Karibu, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Can you hear me properly?
Very well.
Okay, very well. So my name is Steve Magwa. I am a pastor for about 14 years now. I'm also a father, a husband, and just all around a brother. And I'm very glad that you invited me. And if there's any insight that I can add to the conversation, I would be more than glad to contribute. So, and of course, the other thing I can say is that I live in St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. I've been here about 9 years. And I've been in the United States for about 22 years now, right around there, maybe almost 23.
Yeah, you're a local there now.
Yes.
You're part of their furniture.
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad you accepted to come onto my platform. I was just trying my luck. I thought it would be so nice. I like people who make us think, change our thinking. If you allow me, maybe speak briefly about the type you're talking about, because I think it's a passion of yours. believe it's a passion of yours. If you want to talk a little bit about it, then we go deep into today's discussion.
You talking about the tithe?
Yeah, if you just want to brush a little bit about it, because I noticed it's something you can speak about even in your sleep, unless you.
Right. Well, many years ago when I first became a pastor, and I went into the ministry, one of the things that I became aware of was that there was a distinction between the things that are required to be done under the new covenant and the things that were done under the old covenant. And as I began to study that, one of the things that I discovered that we were doing was we were demanding tithes from people. But when I researched it, I couldn't find it in the New Testament. And of course, one of the things that happens is that when you demand for tithes, then you also have to tell people if they don't do it, they're going to be cursed, which of course is a phenomenon of the Old Testament. And so, by the grace of God, I discovered that that's not part of what we are supposed to be doing under the new covenant. So I began to teach that tithing is not required, but giving is a privilege that we are given. And so, so we went ahead and have expanded that teaching, and it's been helpful to many people. One second, let me step out of it because I don't want to. Excuse me. Right. Oops. Sorry about that. I had to. Somebody else came in and they are doing their thing over there. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the interview over there.
In the middle of something.
Yeah, because I've actually. Let me see. I might be able to do it right over here. Let me see if I can do it here. Yep. Okay. Is it good?
Yeah, it's still okay. Yeah, it's even brighter. Right. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so tithing has been just one of the things that I've been teaching the people that it's not required for New Testament believers, but that does not mean that people don't need to give to their churches or to their pastors. It just means that you don't need to do it from an Old Testament perspective. We are not under curses. We are not under any of those injunctions that were given to people. Right.
Yeah. I'll recommend that people to watch it. I don't want you to be misunderstood because it was a deep topic. You went deep into it.
Right.
But yeah, I still recommend for people to watch it, buy your book and read about it. And you've got nothing to lose in learning something new. And it's still your choice what you want to do with your life. It's still your choice. But what I really am not a believer of curses in that sense. I don't want people to live a life of being unhappy, thinking that, oh, my mom didn't tithe, that's why this is happening to me. If you have a deep understanding to it, it could be useful in your life. Because I grew up in that kind of environment where if something happened in our house, my mom just thinks that it's because she didn't tithe. So she never touched her tithe. She would keep it separately. We would rather be hungry.
Right.
So anyway, it's something very, very deep. I'm welcoming all our everybody who has just joined us. I stick to my gender issues. Elaborate that. Elaborate that. Yeah, on point with the tithe. You need to watch the whole thing. There are bad biblical references for it to it and more deep understanding to it, because you don't want to. Half knowledge is not good. I don't like half knowledge, because if you get just what is said from what is just said, you might get confused. So it's better just go deep into it and then understand what is it. So, Pastor, today I'm calling you Pastor and stuff. It's a really good time to
and by the way, I'm okay just being Steve, just being brother.
Yeah, I love it. You find it to me. Tell us about circumcision. What is circumcision first? Tell us the biblical point of view of circumcision. Let's start from there.
Well, from a biblical point of view, circumcision was the sign of the covenant that was given to Abraham by God, so that when God, met with Abraham in the Old Testament and said, "I want to give a covenant to you. I want to be your God, and I want your descendants to be my people." The sign of the covenant was that Abraham was to be circumcised in his foreskin, and all the males, only males, all the males were to be circumcised immediately. But from then on, all the males born in the family of Abraham were to be circumcised on the 8th day after they were born. And so this became the tradition of all the descendants of Abraham, which of course is Israelites. Now, when Jesus came into the world, and Jesus is who we believe is the Messiah, not only of Israel but of the world, he not only was circumcised himself, but he also lived and died under that covenant of under the old covenant. But then he began a new covenant, and in the new covenant, he sent his disciples to go and teach the people what the new way of relating with God is going to be. And one of the things that the apostles made clear was that circumcision, physical circumcision, was no longer going to be required as a sign of the covenant. Rather, physical circumcision in the Old Testament had been a symbol for what was going to happen in the New Testament, which is spiritual circumcision. So in other words, circumcision was just something that was being done to communicate a message. But now that the Messiah had come, then the circumcision was going to be done from a spiritual standpoint. In other words, circumcision is the removal of sin, the removal of the cause of sin. And so in the New Testament, there is no requirement for anyone to be physically circumcised. Okay, so from a biblical point of view, I cannot sit there and tell you, well, because you're a Christian, you need to circumcise your children, or because you need to do this. That's not a biblical requirement for Christians anyway. So the only circumcision that I myself, believe in, because I still do believe in circumcision, is more of a cultural, based circumcision as a, because I'm a Kikuyu man, I'm an African man. So that's the only circumcision that I believe in that has to do with our culture.
Okay, so if you do it from a cultural point of view, is there conflict in your Christianity?
No, for me there is none, and for most Christians, at least as far as I've known, it has not been a conflict. Because for one, when you become a Christian, there is no requirement by God that you should abandon your culture. Because just because I became a Christian doesn't mean that I'm no longer an African. Doesn't mean that I'm no longer a Kikuyu. Doesn't mean that I'm no longer a black person, right? So I'm not required to give up my cultural norms, except when they contradict the Bible. In other words, let's say, for instance, my cultural norm was to worship a tree, or to worship an animal, or to worship a particular, God. Then I would abandon that because it contradicts my belief in God. Right?
Oh, okay.
But anything that does not contradict my Christianity, I continue to do as an African man, as a Christian man.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what my audience think about it and whether it contradicts anything they believe in already. So when it comes to ethics, is it ethical?
Now, what do you mean by ethical? Let me just kind of define for me.
There were lots of campaigns against the female one.
Right.
Where we said, no, stop doing this to our girls.
Right.
Stop doing
well,
this
I think, and I will say this, I do believe that female genital mutilation is evil in my view. That's just my view. I know that there are different people who think differently, but I think that even in the Bible, there was never a time that God commanded females to be circumcised. Circumcision was only for males. Okay. Now, in my view, what we consider to be ethical, right, moral, has to do with our conscience. It has to do with why we believe we are doing something. So from a cultural point of view, as a Kikuyu, the reason we did circumcision of the males was as a rite of passage for boys to move into being men. And that's why I still believe in it, by the way, because I believe that they are, even as a parent, I have teenagers now. I believe that there has to be things that a community needs to do in order to transition their young people into adulthood. And so for us, at least in my community, circumcision is the thing that we utilize for that. I do not find personally any ethical conflicts for me. And I do understand that maybe some of the viewers will. So I'm not going to say there is no ethical conflict per se, but for me, I don't find any. But of course, I'm always open to
So,
learn.
leaving culture aside, with your
Mhm.
current knowledge, with your current exposure,
Right.
would you still make the same choices? What will make you do it? What are the benefits? What would make you do it now? Because now, biblically, you're not really required. If the
No.
cultural aspect is taken away from you, let's say,
Mhm.
for instance, like your kids, I want to believe maybe they're born into the modern world, because you're
Right.
saying like you've been in US for 22 years. That's a
Right.
long time. So those are
Yes.
kids that are not really exposed to your African culture.
Right.
What's the need of them having it?
Well, for one, I raise my kids to know, yes, you have been born in America and you are Americans, but
Mm,
you also have a heritage and you also have a cultural background as Africans, as
mm,
Kuyus, right? And so, and I don't want them to lose their culture. I don't want them to lose their sense of identity, because that's one of the things that we see for those of us who live here. For instance, the African Americans, we find that they want to connect with the African culture, which was lost 400 years ago, right?
yeah. I want
Uh-huh.
to put you on the spot right there. I
Right.
believe that you've not waited for your children to be of age to do it. You did it when they're still young in
No, no, no,
hospital.
no. Actually, I've done it when they were just before they, like my my
Oh.
oldest son, my oldest son got circumcised when he was I think he was 13, going on to 14. My
Mm-hmm.
youngest son is not circumcised yet.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Wow. Guys,
I still do believe that it is now. But now what the difference was, like when my son got circumcised, I did not take him through all of the things, let's say, that I went through when I was a young man myself.
No, no. But you
No.
still
So, but
wanted to.
I still wanted him to experience and to have a moment in life when during the circumcision, because in our culture we used it as a time for teaching
Mm-hmm.
a young man the
Yeah.
things that are required of an adult man.
Yeah.
How to deal with responsibility, how to deal with women, how to
Mm-hmm.
deal with the world, how to deal with work, what are the expectations. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. But more of it I spent, and the people that we kind of did this thing together with, we spent more time relating it to the expectations of a man under
Yeah.
the authority of God.
So did they have the right to say no? Because like in Europe, US, kids that age have a say to whatever is happening.
uh, Honestly, it never came up, because for one, from childhood, the way we've raised our children, and I have 8 of them,
Mm-hmm.
is
Oh,
and
okay.
this
Congratulations.
yes, and this is what I believe, that until a child is 18, they
Mm.
are under the authority of their parents. And so,
Oh,
yes, that's what I believe. And even legally, at least here in America, that's the way it is. My son cannot go to the hospital by himself for anything.
no, no.
Not until he's 18. Every time he goes, he's told, hey, you have to bring your parent. He cannot open a bank account by himself. So that means that I have a
Food
responsibility.
and stuff like that.
I have a stewardship. And so there are certain things that I have a responsibility to teach my son. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain things that I have a responsibility to
Mm.
instill in him. So, and there are many things that I'm not going to ask him what he thinks about it. Because if I ask him, he's probably going to make the decision based on a superficial emotional feeling. Well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to feel pain. Oh, nobody wants to feel pain, right?
Nobody wants to feel
But
good.
but the question is, do I have in at least in my mind and in the mind of my wife and those in who we call our family, do we have what we feel is justification enough to take him through that process? And I believe that we do.
Yeah.
That's why we
Thank
did
you
it, and
for
that's why
that.
we didn't ask him for his opinion.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, JC. Welcome, Angela, Chimasi, Sheena. Welcome, Frederick Bunde. Amin from Sarah. Welcome, Zara. Welcome, Tom. Welcome, welcome, guys. To this discussion, we'd like to hear your input into this. We want to hear everybody just saying that. Their story. So we did have 2 case studies that I wanted us to evaluate. But before we go on to that, we
Hmm.
did have a lady who said that because of her Kikuyu background, she felt like
Hmm.
she had to do it for her sons. But she's a
Okay.
single mother. why is it that the society still expects you to go through this? Because, like you said, it's taking that boy from childhood to adulthood. But if a woman is on her own, you know, that feels like something that needs that man figure in to add that energy to it. Why is that the society still expect that woman to be able to cope with this and help that kid transition into that?
Well, the way I know it is that in our Kikuyu culture, the men in her family, the uncles of the young boy, her own uncles, her own brothers, they are the ones who are responsible for that. The woman is never, ever required to be the one responsible for that, at least from a cultural point of view. Even if, let's say, like my sister is a single mother, right? When my sister is thinking about her boy, and she does have a boy, she already talked to me. She said, Steve, you know, this is on you.
Deal with that.
Deal with that. It's you. You are the uncle. You deal with that. And because I'm here and she's in Kenya, so I had to tell her, well, since I'm not here, I don't mind talking to the boy about it. But I will talk to the other uncles. I will talk to the other cousins. And they will deal with it. Because it's not the woman's responsibility to deal with, because as a woman, there is only so much that you can teach a boy. In the same way that as a man, there is only so much that I can teach a girl. If that makes sense.
Yeah, true. So that's really true. Like me, I have a boy, and I know that there are some struggles that I've had. When he was younger, I couldn't decide whether to teach him to sit or to stand. Because now the modern world people want the men to sit because it's cleaner. But I'm thinking, am I doing injustice by teaching him how to sit or how to stand? So I taught him how to stand.
Right.
And then later on, I was like, oh, okay, nowadays all men are actually sitting, so it was okay to just let him sit. And I was like, no, there's no getting these things right. We have a comment here. Good to hear Pastor Mangwa on the tithe issue. God wants everything. I think it's Magua. Is it? That's Magua.
Magua, yeah, that's true. Right.
God wants everything from us and not a tithe in the new covenant. God bless you, brother. This is regarding the circumcision. Yeah, I didn't quite understand what I stick to my gender issue. Okay. And then somebody told you amen, tuned in. Adida, welcome. And then great topic. Thank you, team. Circumcision, all the reasons my wife knows. That is the other thing. There is a general belief that you've lived in Kenya for a bit, I would imagine.
Yes, of course. I lived in Kenya until I was at least 25.
You see? So you do know that there are people who don't like people from a certain culture just because they believe that all of them haven't had it done. And there is hygiene that comes up, and there is now what, pardon me, Pastor, sweetness that comes in. People say that the uncut apparently is tasteless. Is it something we should base our decision on this? Is it what's your take on this?
This is my take on it. Because for one, as a pastor, like I say, there is no biblical requirement for circumcision, right? So the only reason why I subscribe to circumcision is because that's part of my culture, and I believe that there are good reasons why my culture came up with it. But if, let's say, for instance, I meet a Luo man, let me just use a tribe, right? A Luo man, right? I don't expect that a Luo man should be compelled to be circumcised, because that's not part of his culture, right? And if for instance, my sisters, interestingly, they've all loved only Luo men, but they're Kikuyu women. But if they were to ask me, Steve, should I marry this man? He's not circumcised. I'll say, hey, first of all, you don't need to compel him to do that. If you're going to get married to him, then you should accept him the way he is. Right? Because that's his culture. Because if you're going to change that, are you going to change everything else? Are you going to make him a Kikuyu? Are you going to make him change his language? Are you going to change his background? No, you can't change that. So therefore, if you're going to deal with a person, I think you should accept them for what they believe and what they see to be right in their life. Unless there is something that can be seen, this is evil. And I don't see being uncut, to me, is just a cultural decision, right? Now, there are some people who might say it's a medical decision, But when it comes to being a medical decision, that's just, to me, it's just a matter of, okay, why do they say it's a medical decision? It's easier to be clean when you're cut, right?
It
But
is
then,
actually, it can be medical. There's a time when you can be advised by your doctor to do it.
yes,
There's
yes.
a certain condition.
So
That's
there are
totally
certain conditions, yes.
Hmm.
Yes, I do agree there are certain conditions. But in terms of just cleanliness, I think that a person who wants to be clean can be clean. They're not going to be
Either you're
prevented
just
from being
nothing
clean,
to do with
because
your.
listen, if that small part, and if that small part you cannot keep clean, then it means there are many other parts that you're not being able to keep clean. Are you going to go and circumcise the makwapa and the butt and all that? No. Kama wewe ni mchafu, wewe ni mchafu. Being circumcised is not going to help you to be clean if you are not a clean person, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wanted to bring you to this thing where you said, okay, it's not in your culture, you don't have to do it. Yeah, it's not in your culture. That's fine. I respect it. But when they did this study about HIV and everything, they managed to almost force people to have it done. It felt almost like the ad was a little bit too pushed, too duress. It had a lot of duress in it, where they made a lot of people to have it done. And there are claims after that HIV did reduce. What would you have advised them at that time when it comes to that? What would you have said?
Well, for one, I think that from a pastoral point of view, I would say stop with the immorality, and then maybe you will not have the HIV. so stop with the immorality. Then you would, because you see, trying to reduce HIV by saying, well, let's cut you so that you'll have a less chance of getting HIV. What if you are faithful to your partner? What if everybody was faithful to their partner?
The root cause of this. Why didn't you go deep into why this is happening, which is the sleeping around?
Yeah, it's a sleeping around, and again, I know I might upset some people here.
Sorry,
it's also the people that they were saying were getting that was mostly in the homosexual community, right? Because homosexual sex by its nature is just more rough, because those organs are not made for that activity, because a male organ and a female organ are designed by the designer to have the proper lubrication and all that. But with homosexual sex, that's not necessarily the case. And so that's why there was that issue in the homosexual community. And that's why they were telling them, maybe if you get cut, then you're going to have less chance. But to me, as a pastor, and I'm not afraid to say it, if people were to live moral lives, HIV would not even have been a problem.
Yeah, I do agree with you, but I've got to bat a little bit, because as fast I'm ensuring that we don't have any stigma around it, because not every time it's caused by immorality. Some people who were generally born out of it. There are some people who just was brought to them. We understand that sort of things. Do not take this as judgment. One thing I hate to do in my life is judge people. So don't take this as judgment. And if you're going through anything that needs help, find help, seek help, speak to somebody, get the help you need. So don't use this this is just mainly about circumcision. We want to see that is it a culture that we should still practice? Why are we still practicing it? I've shared this story, and it's a story I like to share a lot, about the lady who used to cook this delicious meal for the husband, really delicious piece of chicken. I repeat this story a lot because it's applicable everywhere in our lives. And the husband really enjoyed it, but it was never enough. And one day the husband decided to ask, why do you cook this delicious chicken, but there's not enough of it? Why are you cutting all these pieces off? Why is it missing the thighs? Why is it missing the wings? Why is it missing all these pieces? And the lady was like, I don't know. That's how my mom taught me. That's a recipe from my mom. My mom is a really good cook, and you know that. And they decide to ask the mom. The next time they visit the mom, they decide to ask the mom, why do you cook just a small piece of chicken without all these pieces? And the mom also didn't know why. She had no idea. It's just something that she found. And she was like, that's what my mom taught me. So then they thought, this is interesting. Let's ask the grandma. And that's when they asked the grandma, why do we have to cut all these pieces? Why do we do that? And the grandma was like, just because my pot was small, it never fit my spot. So I had to cut all these pieces. so that it fits. Yeah. And some people just copy things and they really don't know why they do things. And that's why I like questioning everything in my life. Absolutely everything. I like knowing, why are we doing it? Why are we still doing it? Do we still need to do it? What's the pressure? Is the pressure worth the trouble? Is it the pain worth the trouble? Is it worth it? Why are we still doing this? Like for the single mothers out there, like you've been told, if you're in that culture that expects you to do it, understand your culture more. Maybe like the Kikuyu, the men and your uncles are supposed to do it. It's not something you stress yourself. Personally, I wouldn't stress myself because it's not in any of the cultures. It's not in my son's culture. It's not in the culture I was born from. I don't even know whether my brothers had it done or not because it was never in our culture. So why would I put myself through that stress? So when this conversation came with somebody and they were like, oh, you have to be mindful for your son because of the cultural biases that are there. What if your son one day goes back to Kenya? There's all those biases that are there and it's not fair for them. And my point of view is that it's his life. He's older. His wife wants him to do it. He thinks it's okay.
There's nothing that will prevent him from doing it. If he feels that is what is going to make his life better, nothing will prevent him.
Nothing will prevent him.
Right. And now what we've found, by the way, even amongst especially in the diaspora, right? Most of the time when we have our children born here in America, it's almost standard to circumcise all boys. Okay. So the doctors will just ask you on as soon as the boy is born, can we go ahead and circumcise him? Right. And so for the most part, you find that most people just do it when, like most people that I know, or a lot of people that I know, they circumcise their children on the day they are born, because it's much easier, and the baby is already healing from so many other struggles of birth. And so so that's also something that somebody can decide to do, even like you said, like the single mother can decide, as I'm getting this boy, if that opportunity is offered. And I know, because nobody ever asks me, no woman has ever asked me, when did you get circumcised?
Yeah.
No, nobody has. So in other words, when I was, now let me put it this way, and allow me, because I'm just a man, right? When I was out in the world, running around, having many girlfriends and all that, right? No woman ever asked me, did you do this when you were a child?
When you were an adult.
They didn't care. They didn't care. Right? So nobody will come to her to know when you did it or when you didn't do it.
Yeah, from a personal point of
view. So that's also something that people who are considering it should consider. It's easier, especially if you are living in a place like this, because I can tell you, it's not easy to do the cultural thing here. Okay, like the teenage thing, you really have to be committed in order to go through with it. So so there is even a way that I feel, well, maybe I should just have had my boys circumcised when they were they were little.
There's a solution.
Right.
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah. There's an echo.
Yeah, there was I think there was a phone call that was coming in, so and I had to.
Not a problem.
So if there's still an echo, I can always come out and come back in again.
Not a problem. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me come out and come back in.
Okay. So from my own perspective, I think newborns go through so much. They've come into a new world. They don't even understand what's going on. You as a parent, you don't even know what you're supposed to do with them. They didn't come with a manual. They're still thinking, experimenting, trying this. I think they go through so much. But if it's something you can handle and it's something that you're committed to, I don't see any problem. Go ahead with it. For me, and no. Like my son, when he was born, he had a birthmark, and he had a little bit of a growth on his ear, and we were asked whether we wanted it done, taken off, because it's easier when they're younger. And I thought, no, he'll grow up, he'll be older, he will decide for himself whether he wants it taken out or not. If he wants to keep it, but just leave him. He's a child, he's got enough problems of his own. So he still has his little growth on there, and he's allowed up to, I think, 13 to have it done for free. surgically done for free by the doctor, but after that he has to pay for it. So we've asked him severally, do you want it done? And he's like, he's happy to keep it. So he's tiny little growth on them. Pastor is back. In the Old Testament, it was a requirement after the coming of Jesus. Things changed, just like eating pork. It was forbidden in the olden days, but Jesus, we can eat it. Pastor, I wonder whether you want to comment on that.
Well, I think that they are right. Hopefully, there's no more echo. I think they are right in saying that there's definitely a big change that came with the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only for Israelites but also for the rest of us who are not Israelites. When we joined into that covenant, there were certain things we were not required to do, whether it's eating, the eating laws or the dressing laws, or a lot of things. And so, and it's important for people to know that are Christians, because obviously, if you're not a Christian, it doesn't matter to you, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I think you've also mentioned in your other live where you're saying, if you want to go Old Testament, then why aren't you going Old Testament through and through? Why aren't you going to church on a Saturday? Why aren't you doing that? I think you did talk about that as well, isn't it? Yeah. If I was a man, I'll be on team uncut. I'm a woman who doesn't care whether he is cut or not. Personally, it's got nothing to do with my body. Do whatever you want with your body.
Right. But remember that there are also many women. Like, for instance, I know that there are many, let's say, women in my culture that would not even allow a relationship with a man if they were uncut. So, and that's the reality, right? So there are women. Okay, if you're again, I will use the Kikuyu and the Luos, right? Because we love each other, even culturally, like we just kind of marry each other and all that, right? So a Luo woman won't care, doesn't care, because that's their culture. Whereas a Kikuyu woman will be like, oh no, you can't marry me, you can't even sleep with me if you're uncut. So therefore, I think that it's case by case. So that if you're in a relationship with somebody and they are telling you this has to be done, then that's a decision that you need to make, whether you want to continue with that relationship or whether you want to bring that relationship to an end, or whether you want to actually sustain the relationship by going ahead. And there are many people who have done that.
Ending beautiful love just because of something that doesn't really matter that much. If you're open-minded to it, it's really a shame. So there's this thing that you've seen time and time again that comes up. We've seen it happening with our leaders, where a leader comes and they're vying for a post, they want to, and people will be like, oh, we can't be led by a person who hasn't had it done. How can we come out of that mindset now that you've elaborated what all this was? If somebody's saying, oh, it's not biblical, or it's not, how can we come out as one people and stop being like that?
I think that is going to be a question of maturity over time, because when a community is still young and immature, then they also make their decisions based on a lot of immature basis, right? And that's a basis of immaturity, right?
Yeah,
because whether a person is cut or not says nothing about their mental capacity, says nothing about their political position, says nothing about so many things about them, right? And so I think that that is something that, of course, we counter it by speaking the truth and constantly informing people, these things. But we also have to understand that it's going to take time. It's like you and I assume that you live in the West somewhere.
Yeah, we're still teenagers as a nation.
Right, exactly. So, but if you come to a place like America, you can see that their politics are a lot more mature. Those questions never come up, right? Because they have. But if you go back in their history, they were like that before. They were like that before. They would say, "Oh, you cannot be a president if you are a Catholic. You cannot be a president if you are Irish. You cannot be a president." They used to do that, but they don't do that anymore because they grew up, right? So my thing is, we do have to have patience with our country, Africa. 50 years from now, I mean, think about it. Right now, the people in Kenya are willing to even consider a person from another tribe. Something that in the past would have been abnormal. Let me speak just about our own Kikuyu people. we would never have considered anyone from another tribe at all, even to think to say, maybe this guy, no, is he a Modoanyoba? Is he a Modoamo? Is he, if he's not nothing going. But now you can see that the people, the next generation, our children, they don't care about such things, right? In fact, in our generation, my generation, when I went to school, I went to school with all tribes, and all tribes were my friend. But when I went home, the things that I had my father and my uncle say, I'll be like, but Kipngetich is my friend and he's very smart. But the way you guys are expressing is that whole tribe is stupid. Right?
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, that's not right. Right? So over time, like now my children, and even the children who are growing up in Kenya, they don't see tribe the way our generations and the ones before them did.
So
they don't see culture the way that our generations did. So in a few years, if we are patient enough, you will find that people won't just care about such things. People will care about like Martin Luther said, what we care about is the content of your heart and the content of your mind, not the color, not the outward. What do you think? What is your philosophy? What are you going to do for us? That's what really matters.
Brilliant. Hi, Yvette. Welcome. Oh, I miss you so much. You better be here next week. The washed ones, the skilled one. I don't know what was that about. I think it was something that you're talking about, Pastor, and hence her comment. Yeah, amazing. I'm learning so much, and I'm really appreciative because for me, it's something that if we can all teach the next person and teach the next person, then word will spread. Like people will understand that, you know what, let's be patient with each other. Let's be patient with other people's choices and culture. Let's be something that doesn't concern you, just leave it. If you're trying to preach to somebody, you want them to be a Christian like you, know that those things are just details. If we come from a point of love, then you started our journey on a good note. Yeah, all this, I don't know, you have to be circumcised or no. Pastor has elaborated that no, that's in the Old Testament, and you don't have to do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. If it's not in your culture, you don't have to do it. If I understood you right. If I understood you right. And I think Pastor is trying to say he only practices it because it's in his culture, and it's a culture that he likes because it helps you come from being a boy to a man. And it's just that acknowledgement that, you know what, you can't continue with your boyish ways. Now you're a man. And that's why he does it. And it helps people like single mothers who are out there who still want to maybe practice the culture for whatever personal reasons you have. If you can't do it when the kids are older, you can have it done when they're still young. Immediately they come from hospital or whatever. Just do it when they're still young, then it will make it easier for you. But others, like if you're from Kikuyu and it's really important, have the uncles help you. It's their job. It's their job. Don't carry don't carry that. It's not all on you. Let them help you. Let
me say something else here, Nicole, right?
Please.
Let me say something else. Whereas I do agree that I like it because it's part of our culture and I can see the value of it. The truth of the matter is this: other people from other communities do grow up from being boys and they become responsible men without the whole circumcision thing. So therefore, that already tells you that it's an elective, it's an optional thing. Because if circumcision was the only way to make a boy into a man, then the world would be full of boys. Right? But we see people from other communities that are truly great men, and they are uncut, right? Yeah. So again, it's just a matter of, okay, this is my culture. I respect my culture. I love my culture. So I'm going to do the things of my culture because I respect it and I love it. But that is not to say that other people who have alternative culture are not worthy enough to be men or to be whatever. No, it's just their culture, and I respect them for that.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. Asante. So guys, you've heard it's not correlated to hygiene. It's not directly related to utamu. If for those who PM me about it, aina direct proportionally to that. Aina an individual hygiene yake, it's them to decide whether they're clean or not. And if it's your badminton or something, it's for you to talk it out and meet in the middle. Don't dump love just because that we want to practice something different from you. No, there are other ways to accommodate each other and find a middle ground. And by the way, why would you even know the difference? That would be a question. Unless you're in Mkora. Now that we have a pastor here today. So, having partaken to both and where I've reached in life, I've reached in life as of today, I do not care. But if one is uncut, more concentration in the hygiene department for you, know who is needed. When it comes to my son, I want to do it for cultural reasons, but I'll let him decide because I don't have a genuine explanation to make him do it. Yeah, personally, I also think that he will decide for himself. He will make love. He will meet somebody, and the person might want them to do it. If they think it's okay, they will do it. If they don't, if it's a deal breaker in that relationship, then that's also up to him.
And listen, the issue of hygiene, right? The issue of hygiene is the same thing. Somebody who has more hair has to concentrate more on their cleanliness, right? All over the body. If you have a hairy person, you are going to have to do more than the person who is less hairy, right? So and so there are many things we can say about hygiene. It also depends on what kind of the person who works in a mjengo will have to do more in cleanup than the person who works in an office, right? So therefore those are just relative things. Those are relative things.
Nikama tu mandevu, the people who see people with mandevu and they already judge you that you're not clean. But maybe you are taking extra care knowing that you have mandevu and you've always had mandevu. So you've always known how to clean yourself because you know you've always had mandevu. Like it's not like something new to you, something that you've always had and always been like that. So Asante Sana, I don't know that we have any questions. I really appreciate you and your time. Yeah, I really, really appreciate you and your time. I don't know whether we have any questions from the audience. Meanwhile, I don't know whether there's anything you want to share, maybe a little bit about your book, any self-promotion. We love self-promotion, yeah. And a fact about our pastor that I also learned, and maybe it's nice for you to know regarding the tithing. He doesn't depend on it. He works for his money, but he accepts gifts. He accepts them. Ukitaka kumpatia hiyo tithe hata sema no, pia ni karibu tu, umembariki. He won't say no to it. He's not saying hata usimpatia anything. No, it's your choice what you want to do with your money. And giving is always a blessing. The more you give, you see how it happens around you. The more you give, the more you have. You can never lack when you give. Yeah, but don't be tied by artists doing it. Pastor, is there anything you'd like to tell us?
Well, yes, I can say this. Those who want to know more about what I am about and what I teach, our ministry is called Ask the Pastor Bible Study. It's on YouTube. It's I have a channel also under my name, Steve Magua, which is on YouTube. Facebook is where you find Ask the Pastor Bible Study. We are also on Twitter. Very soon, I'm probably going to do Instagram and TikTok because we have to reach every generation. I also have authored, a couple books. The latest one that I'm recommending that people would read is the book that is called Understanding Tithing. And the subtopic is tithing required for Christians today on Amazon.com. So people can get that on Amazon.com. You can get it as a digital book or a paperback book. So, if somebody wants to come and listen to me, hang out with me, chat, I'm very personable. I don't feel like I'm up there. I just feel that I'm a servant of the people. And so I welcome people to come and, question me and whatever else you feel you want to say to me.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, Pastor, I was going to give somebody your book today. I don't know who wants the book. Nana nataka kitabu ya tithing. Who wants a book? I'm going to give you a book. Jitete, you get the book. Understanding tithing on Amazon. So if anybody wants the book, I'm going to give you a book. Jitete, you get the book. Yeah, wacha mtu apate zawadi ya tithing. Watu wasiseme mtu ashajitetea. Send it to me. Okay, cool. You can have the book. Yeah, tena leo usiku. Watu wasiseme ati you've been cast, you nini. Understand tithing as tithing. Hiyo mambo ya kasi zako understand them differently. Why do you feel your cast? Why do you feel these things are happening to you? Cool. Asante sana Pastor, I really appreciate you and the time. Mungu akubariki. Ulisema Bible group inaitwa nini?
On Facebook, it's called Ask the Pastor Bible Study. If somebody searches for my name, Steve M. Magua, you can either friend me or set a notification, because I think I'm close to the 5,000 friend limit, so I'm not able to receive as many friend requests anymore. But somebody can search for me on Facebook. You'll find me on YouTube. You'll find me. It's Ask the Pastor Bible Study.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. And that's every day?
That's mostly every day when I'm able to. But of course, there are some weeks when I'm working, when I'm not able to do as much. You know, sasa nimekalia truck hapa.
Umekalia tractor kubwa.
Right. So that means I'm about to move.
Okay. Wacha tupache uendelee na kazi. Tunashukuru sana, Mungu akubariki. Naona mtu ametujoin tu saa hizi. You're a little bit late, but as usual, we don't delete our videos. They're always here for you to watch. You can just watch it at any time you want. But we like it when you're here live. That's when we have greasy content. We have questions that you can answer that and that. Asante sana. God bless you and drive safely. Mungu akubariki.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. Take care. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining today. I hope you've learned something. Let's see you next week. The next topic is mental health. Somebody is coming here to pour their heart out. Somebody you know, roll, they'll share everything so that you know it's not something that is special for a certain sort of people. It can happen to anybody. So join us next time. Watch out for the poster. God bless you. Let me read this one. Sorry, only the owner knows, you know, because most of us are so secretive, okay? But what I know is that even in the Bible it will say that the one who casts or won't see heaven, you know, so I don't see why you should be okay. As much as we are not same in size, let's also remember it's been said purposely, you know, there's a reason for that. Okay, I'll let the pastor answer you on that. We'll tag him on that, then he can answer you, but you can watch the video from the beginning. We've talked about all that. Thank you for joining and God bless you. Bye for now. Take care. Bye-bye.